Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday, just 2 days away now from Arsenal's third Premier League game of the season at Bournemouth, looking to make it 9 points from a possible 9. How nice would that be? 1 day away from Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of that match at Bournemouth. That is tomorrow at London Colney at 10 a.m. I will be there for that, so keep your eyes peeled for all the latest updates. I'll be putting it out on my social media as Mikel is talking. I'll try and do a video as well, which I'll upload to this channel afterwards, going over some of the big talking points from that press conference. We'll hear stuff, no doubt, about team news. There'll no doubt be questions about transfers as well. Fabio Vieira, who played yesterday for the first time at the under-21s, who I'll talk about a little bit later on in this video. But I wanted to start the video. I kind of spoke a little bit about it yesterday when I was looking at the big decisions that Mikel Arteta have to make. So I wanted to focus a little bit on, who is going to start, who do we think will probably start that game on Saturday. So far, Mikel Arteta is named an unchanged side for both games this season. And I thought it was interesting in the video that I did yesterday when I was talking about the big decisions to make. I was looking through the comments of what you guys had to say afterwards, and so many of you are adamant, don't change the winning side. Keep it. It surprised me. I thought, plenty of people would, kind of like me, to be honest, want Tomiyasu to come back in if he's fully fit. But certainly, it almost felt like the majority in the comments anyway, felt like Mikel should keep an unchanged side. Why change it? Stick with Ben White at right back, stick with Zinchenko at left back, and keep the two centre backs exactly the same. Why change a winning side? So I thought that was quite an interesting thing to note from those comments yesterday. And when you do look at who could potentially start, the side at the moment, it is really picking itself, except for those potential changes in defence. Now, whether Mikel will make them, we'll have to wait and see. Again, he might give a little bit of a hint, probably not, because he never tends to at his press conference tomorrow. But you sort of move away from that back four and you look elsewhere, and it pretty much, what the side's going to be at the moment, which is good, barring any injuries that have happened in training that we don't know about yet or anything, which fingers crossed hasn't happened. But aside from who's going to be in goal at the moment, it's obviously going to be Aaron Ramsdale. We know the midfield, if everyone's fit and available, is going to be Thomas Partey. Pretty much, you'd think definitely Granit Xhaka, Martin Odegaard, and then it's going to be the front three of Martinelli, Jesus and Saka. So it's really, when it comes down to who might start against Bournemouth, it is just if Mikel decides to go, which plenty of you seem to think he should, with that unchanged team. If he does, it's obviously going to be Ramsdale in goal, Ben White at right back, Saliba and Gabriel at left back, at centre back, and then Zinchenko at left back, and then the rest of the side will be as I've just said it will be. If he does make changes, if he does think Tomiyasu should come back now, then obviously he could be right back, and then you could have one or two of the three centre backs, whichever partnership Mikel opted to go with at centre, and then obviously Zinchenko or Kieran Tierney at left back. So it's a nice position to be in for Mikel, and it's certainly, you look at the strength of the squad and potentially some players coming back as well who might be available for it. And the squad is looking pretty strong at the moment and pretty good, and it's just quite a nice position to kind of know almost 90% of your starting 11. You kind of look at that and think that's why Arsenal started the season so well. It's a nice settled squad, and Arsenal have done their business early, getting Jesus in early, getting him settled early, bringing Saliba back, making sure that he knows full well that he is very much counted on this season, getting Zinchenko in early. It just leads to a nice settled start to the season, and Arsenal's results have certainly benefited, and the performances have certainly benefited as a result as well. So that is very good to see. Let me know who you guys think. Judging by your comments yesterday, I pretty much know what you're going to say. But let me know what you think of the starting 11 should be at Bournemouth in the comments below. Like I said, personally, for me, I would like to bring Tomiyasu back in. I think Ben White has done a very, very good job there. I know it's not great to change a winning team, but I just think the fact that Ben White is not a right back, I just feel like I'd prefer. Tomiyasu is a very good right back. We've seen that last season. If he's fit, for me, he plays in that position rather than playing someone out of position. And I know the arguments. I saw what you were saying yesterday in the comments below, but I just feel in that regard, the fact that it's either a natural right back, or a player playing out of position, no matter how well he's doing, and I think he's done very well, I would still go with Tomiyasu. And then personally, at the moment, I'd keep everyone else the same. So I'd leave Ben White on the bench, and I'd keep the centre backs the same because they've been playing well together. And I'd keep Zinchenko over on the left, potentially rather than Tierney, just because Zinchenko is pretty much naturally a left back. He can play there and he's playing very, very well. So that would be the one change that I would make, would be Tomiyasu for Ben White. But let me know what you guys think. What should the starting 11 be? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. So a little bit in terms of who could potentially be on the bench on Saturday, and we could well be seeing Fabio Vieira for the first time, which is good because Fabio Vieira played 45 minutes in an Arsenal shirt for the first time last night. He played for the under-21s in their game against Swansea, the Premier League, I think it was Premier League Cup, wasn't it? Game against Swansea, 1-2-1. He played 45 minutes, came off at half-time, which is obviously originally planned. Mikel Arteta was there watching, in attendance, and I mean, I've seen clips, I wasn't there, but I've seen clips of how he'd done, and, he looked like he was perfectly tidy in it, didn't pull up any trees or anything like that, he didn't score, didn't get an assist, but he looked very tidy. He was playing on the right wing, which is quite interesting. Obviously, we know at the moment Arsenal were that right wing position, who might be the main competition, and for Bukayo Saka over there is very much up for debate given Nicolas Pepe's potential future and their pursuit of Rafinha early on in the transfer window. So I thought it was quite interesting that he did play over there. It was our first real glimpse of what he could be like in an Arsenal shirt. You have to take it a little bit in context given that it was in an under-21s game. As much as you want to really impress an under-21s game, and I'm sure he did, he would have known Mikel Arteta was there. It's still under-21s in a not in a full stadium. The tempo that is just not quite there. But he did perfectly well. He looks very, very left-footed, which we kind of know about. We know that's his strength, is left-footed. But there was a few when he got in some good positions. I thought in that game you could see he really wanted to cut in on his left, and when he did, in a couple of occasions when he did go out on the right and try and get on his right and try and get a shot away, he didn't look entirely comfortable. So that's maybe something that we're going to have to see him work on as he sort of settles in at Arsenal, is to try and strengthen a little bit on that right-hand side. But he just doesn't look to me, from what I saw in first instance yesterday, he's not a natural winger, we know that. He prefers to be as a number 10. He can play as a number 8, he can even play as a number 6, potentially, but not really in the Thomas Partey role. But you see what I mean. He could play deeper if he needs to be, but he's more of a central player, a number 10, or even if he can play on the right. And I'm not sure that's where I'd really want to see him playing in the first team in the future. But he did some nice things. There were some really good touches. I thought his link-up play at times, from what I saw with Emil Smith-Rowe, was pretty promising. It was good to see Emil back as well, getting some valuable minutes for him. Cedric Soares played as well, scored a beautiful free kick. Actually, Cedric Soares, that's why we've probably seen him stand over a few for the first team in the last sort of year or so. Not that he's ever managed to stick it in the top corner like he did last night, but he clearly can take a decent free kick, and I'm sure he does that plenty of times in training. So positive on the whole, the fact that Smith Rowe got minutes, Fabio Vieira got minutes, and that's just going to help add to the strength of depth, the strength of squad that Mikel's going to have to call upon as the season goes on, as we get towards the European games as well. Getting Vieira back in the groove, getting him just settled and starting to adjust him to the Premier League. It's been a real shame that he's come and he's got that injury and he's not had a pre-season, and he's kind of starting well behind everyone else now. You kind of just got, it's going to be a given for me that he's going to be a couple of months behind. He's basically having his pre-season now, and then he's got to settle to a new league. And I think it's probably, you're looking at Christmas, end of the year, before we might really start seeing Vieira at his very best and fully settled. But it's certainly a positive that he's back, and we might well see him on Saturday. We'll have to wait and see if Mikel Arteta decides that he should take him along or not. So it's certainly good, and as I said, really good to see Emil Smith-Rowe back. No Marquinhos in that side yesterday. Not exactly sure why at the moment, whether it could potentially be that he's close to a loan move, I don't know, or that he's just going to be involved this weekend in the game against Bournemouth. So Mikel didn't want him to play in midweek, and he wanted him to stick around. Maybe that's something that we'll learn a little bit more about at the press conference tomorrow. But yeah, positive news on that, and it was it was good to see Viera finally in an Arsenal shirt playing some minutes. Okay, so Charlie Patino, I reported on his injury earlier on in the week in one of the videos. That injury sustained while on loan at QPR. Real shame that. He was playing so well in that game as well. Only made it to half-time because of an ankle injury. Had to go off. Now, a little bit more on that. My understanding is that he is looking a bit of a spell on the sidelines, but initial signs are that it's not as bad as it could have been, which is a positive. You know, you go over on those ankles, you do your ligaments, you're potentially looking at 12, 13, 14 weeks out. At the moment, it doesn't seem like he's done too much damage in terms of ligaments. He's not torn, or it doesn't seem like he's torn anything. And the early signs are, after the discussions, he was back at Arsenal yesterday. He's now already gone back to Blackpool, which again is another positive sign. So he's not staying at Arsenal to do his rehab at the moment. So the signs are, yes, he'll be out for a little bit of time, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a 12-weeker or something like that. And that's a positive because, you know, he started so well. He's made such a massive impression in a short space of time up at Blackpool. Players have taken to him. The fans absolutely love him. If you've not seen the chant that they've made for him yet, you should go out and search for it on Twitter. It's a really good chant. And the fans love him, and everyone was so impressed in how he's performing, especially in the QPR game, which was obviously on TV, so it got a lot of coverage. It would have been awful if he was suddenly out for 12 weeks at this stage of his loan, just as he was settling in, just as he was making his mark, and then suddenly, you know, he's potentially out until Christmas, and things can move on really quickly from then. So it's going to be hopefully really positive that he might not be out for anywhere near that sort of time. He will be out for a bit, but nothing like the kind of time that he potentially could have been. So early signs are good, and fingers crossed, as long as those early sort of signs are actually proved correct, then Charlie should be back playing for Blackpool sooner rather than later, which is a positive. Another player who could soon well be going out on loan that we might be watching is Salah Oulad M'Hand. Obviously had a decent season last season for the 23s, really started to step up and make a bit of an impact. He is now very, very close to joining Hull City on loan. Bit of a surprise one, but it's going to be a loan. I believe there is going to be a option to buy it and to make that permanent next summer. Don't know exactly what the figure will be for that. No one's too keen to sort of share any light on that at the moment, but going to be interesting to see how he goes on. He joins a long list of the sort of talented youngsters who have gone out now this season. You know, Charlie, I've already spoken about. Marcelo Flores has gone out to Spain on loan. Salah Oulad M'Hand now. Amari Hutchinson has moved on, obviously, to Chelsea on a permanent basis. Other players have gone out on loan. So it's going to be intriguing to see how some of these young players get on with their clubs in the lower leagues. The under-21 side is looking pretty young this season now, which will be interesting to see exactly how well they can compete with a lot of these players who have played such a big part in the under-23s last season when it was the under-23s, to see if they can be competitive this season or not. Obviously, yesterday they had some senior players involved, and won't always be the case, and it looks like it's going to be pretty young, the under-21s set up this season. But yeah, Salah Oulad M'Hand heading to Hull on loan, barring any late complications. That's a deal that should probably be announced within the next 24 hours or so. So keep an eye out for that one. What do you think of that? You know, are you happy that he's gone out on loan? Anything else that I've spoken about in this video you agree with, disagree with, just want to have your say on anything Arsenal related, please do hit me up in the comments below. And as I did yesterday with what you had to say about the possible team selection against Bournemouth, always intrigued to see what you guys have to say. Okay, that's about it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, I'll be at London Colney tomorrow morning to keep your eyes peeled for all the latest from Mikel Arteta's press conference, and I'll try my very best to record a video from there as well. Until then, have a good day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.